You wake up with a headache, and for a moment, before the day even begins, your mind starts telling you a story. A story about how everything is going wrong, how life is unfair, how nothing seems to work for you anymore. But what if the real problem isn't your job, your relationship, your finances, or even the world around you? What if the real problem is the story running inside your own head? Before we go deeper, make sure you subscribe to the channel for more videos that will completely change how you think about life. Now imagine this. You wake up feeling tired and irritated. You immediately think, I should have gone to sleep earlier. Next to you is your partner, still asleep. Things between you haven't been the same for months. And in that quiet moment, a heavy thought appears in your mind. Maybe you're not the man she wants anymore. You drag yourself out of bed and walk to the bathroom. You reach for the toothpaste, and it's empty. Perfect. Just another thing going wrong. At breakfast, you scroll through the news or listen to a podcast talking about how expensive everything has become. Rent is rising. Food is expensive. The economy is uncertain. Your generation is struggling, and suddenly it feels like the world itself is stacked against you. The day continues. You join your first Zoom meeting at work. The conversation goes poorly. Your ideas don't land the way you hoped. You stand up, knock over your coffee, and spill it on your shirt. Now you feel embarrassed, frustrated, maybe even a little hopeless. By the time work ends, your brain is exhausted. So you do what most people do. You grab your phone and start scrolling. Video after video, post after post, some influencer talking about how corrupt the system is, someone complaining about how everything is broken, comment sections filled with anger and blame. Slowly, without realizing it, your mind starts building a story where you are the victim, where life is happening to you, where the world is against you. And by the time you fall into bed that night, the conclusion feels obvious. Today was a terrible day. But here's something most people never realize. Human beings are storytelling machines. We are constantly creating narratives to explain the world around us. And the most powerful stories in your life are the ones you tell yourself. Psychologists sometimes describe a certain mental pattern called paranoia. The word comes from ancient Greek. It literally refers to the mind turning against itself. A way of thinking where you assume the world is working against you. When you live in this mindset, every small inconvenience becomes proof that life is unfair. The empty toothpaste tube, the awkward meeting, the bad news on your phone, all of it becomes evidence that you're stuck in a broken system. And the dangerous part is that this mindset feels strangely comfortable. Because if the world is the problem, then you don't have to change. If everything is someone else's fault, you never have to take responsibility for your own reactions, your own growth, or your own life. But eventually, something inside you begins to feel tired of that story. You notice that conversations about how terrible the world is never actually solve anything. Scrolling through angry posts online doesn't make you feel better. Complaining doesn't create progress. And slowly, a deeper question appears in your mind. What if there's another way to live? There's a concept called metanoia. It means a transformation of the mind, a moment when your perspective shifts so deeply that your old identity starts to fall apart. And strangely, this transformation often begins when things feel like they're collapsing, when you feel stuck, lost, or completely dissatisfied with the way life is going. Because in that exact moment, there's a doorway, a chance to stop living inside the old story. But stepping through that doorway requires courage. It means accepting that maybe you're not just a victim of circumstances. Maybe you're also the author of your reactions. And that realization can be terrifying because responsibility is heavy, but it's also incredibly freeing. There's another idea that psychologists sometimes talk about called pronoia. If paranoia is the belief that the world is secretly working against you, Pronoia is the belief that life might actually be working in your favor. Not in a magical, everything will go perfectly kind of way, but in a deeper sense. What if every challenge is pushing you to grow? What if every mistake is teaching you something important? What if the obstacles in your life are shaping the person you're meant to become? This doesn't mean life suddenly becomes easy. You'll still face rejection, disappointment, uncertainty, and struggle. Those things are part of being human. But instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You start asking a different question. What is this trying to teach me? And that small shift can completely change how your days feel. Let's go back to the beginning. You wake up with a headache again. The situation hasn't changed, but something inside you has. Instead of immediately complaining, you pause for a moment. Maybe your body just needs more rest. Tonight, you decide you'll sleep earlier. You look at your partner beside you. Things haven't been great between you lately. But instead of silently assuming the relationship is doomed, you realize something simple. You can talk about it. You walk to the bathroom. The toothpaste is still empty. But instead of getting angry, you just make a mental note to buy some later. At breakfast, you start playing a podcast filled with negative news. And then you turn it off. For a few minutes, you just sit quietly and eat. Later, you join your meeting. It still doesn't go perfectly. And yes, you spill coffee on yourself again, but this time you laugh and make a joke about it. Everyone else laughs too. The tension disappears. Work still isn't your dream job. But instead of complaining about it for years, you make a decision. You start planning your next move. Maybe a new project, maybe a different career path, maybe something you've always wanted to try. When the day ends, instead of scrolling endlessly on your phone, you step outside for a walk. The sky is gray, it starts raining. The forecast says it will rain all week. But for the first time in a long time, you don't mind. Because something about the rain feels refreshing. Like it's washing away the version of you that believed life was always against you. And as you walk through the quiet streets, you realize something powerful. The world didn't actually change. Your story did. And sometimes, changing the story is enough to change everything. If this message made you think differently about your life, comment below with the word perspective. And share this video with someone who might need to hear it today. Because the story inside your head might be the most important story you'll ever rewrite.